Welcome back to the channel, Retro Freaks. We are continuing our journey, and this journey is winding down
we're getting
our
close to the
list of the most expensive games we have in our collection. The last episode we did in this series, we talked about how once we're done with this, we're going to go back through and do the cheapest games we have on the collections. But I think we have 3 or 4 of these left to go.
We're getting really close.
Today is all about the Nintendo Wii.
The Nintendo Wii, a console that's for babies. That's for little babies. No, that's what a lot of people thought when it first came out.
Yeah.
It's because of the motion control stuff. But going back to the Wii, there's a lot of fantastic games. And some of the games really utilize the motion. We're going to talk about our 10 most expensive games, and just the 10 we're talking about today is almost $500.
Yeah.
So kind of an expensive collection, but a lot of the games that we're not going to talk about are pretty cheap.
Yeah.
And
I love when we say things like the Wii is for babies and stuff. Guys, that's not what we think. That's like what people say, because I've seen comments like, oh, that hurts my heart to hear you say that about the Wii. It's like, dude, we love the Wii.
Yeah.
But I will say, when the Wii originally came out, I've said this time and time again, I wasn't nearly as into it.
Yeah.
Shame on me.
A lot of people thought it wasn't like a real gamer console.
Yeah, I was more into the PS3 and 360, but boy, oh boy, did I miss some good games. This list is full of rippers. Enough with the jibber jabber. It's time to jump in to our top 10 most expensive Wii games. Let's start with number 10.
Number 10 is a really cool, unique game, and that's Muramasa, the Demon Blade on the Wii. This game comes in at $32.05 CIB, so not too bad. And all of our prices for this episode and all the episodes we talked about are from price charting.
Yep.
It's just a good, consistent place. I know it's not super accurate, but
it can vary, but
directionally
pretty damn close.
But that's just what we went with. This game is really unique. I love the art style. This is like an action RPG, but a 2D platformer as well.
Yeah.
So kind of a unique style, but I love the freaking art style. It's very Japanese. It's very colorful. I've only really dabbled in the gameplay, but from what I have played, I have really enjoyed this game.
It's a really cool game. I remember maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, this game kind of just shot up in price, and it was really cheap. I think it's on the Vita.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, and I can't remember why that was, if it was on somebody's Hidden Gems video or something like that, but a very unique Wii game that I think definitely deserves a play, and I'm glad we have it in the collection.
Yep.
Number 9, probably everyone who has a Wii has this game. So I don't know, it can't be a supply and demand issue, but Mario Kart Wii comes in at like $32.97.
$32.97 for Mario Kart Wii, but I think this is a must-own game if you have a Wii. But it's awesome because, first off, you can use motion. You can, with a little steering wheel, steering wheel's fun. But I always play with the GameCube controller because that's how I always play Mario Kart. The Mario Kart games on any console are fun.
This is one of the better
one of the best,
honestly. This game is fantastic. And, I was talking about supply and demand. I think the issue with like this game and like Wii Sports is the simple fact that everyone that has a Wii is never selling their copy.
Yeah.
So there's not more going into circulation, if you will. So if you own a Wii, 90, probably 8% chance you have that game.
And I think at least the people in my circle, like people that aren't gamers that had Wiis, they had the Wii and then they got rid of it, and then they started to get nostalgic for the Wii again. So then they wanted to get, Wii Sports and Mario Kart and all that stuff back. That's how my mom is. She's like, I want to get a Wii and get these, and I'm just like, all right, you used to have it. Why'd you get rid of it? But $32.97, not bad for this. And again, real quick, I'll mention it at the top of the episode. This is not bragging. This is just what they are going for, and a lot of these we did not pick up for the price.
Absolutely not. Some of these, as we were going through making this episode, we were like, really?
Yeah. Just had to put that out there because people are like, you guys are bragging. No. We're just showing.
And it's a way to show our collection and have a little bit of fun with it. Like I said at the top of the freaking reel, we are going to go back through and do our 10 cheapest games on every console.
And that will be bragging.
Yeah.
Now moving on to number 8. Next up is the Ultimate Shooting Collection for the Nintendo Wii. This is a fantastic shmup collection.
Yeah.
If you like shooters, it comes with 3 amazing arcade shmups. You get Radio Allergy, you get Kairos, and then you get Chaos Field. And Chaos Field is very expensive, I think, on the GameCube.
Yes.
These games are really fun. This game comes in at $34.02, so not bad at all for 3 shmups. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I picked this up early.
I think one of the first conventions we ever went to.
I think the first Midwest Gaming Classic, I found this at a booth, and I think it was maybe $25-$30, and I was like,
so it's held its value.
It's held its value.
I wasn't sure what you paid for it. I didn't know if you paid like 10, 20.
But I remember paying a little bit, but not crazy, because I was like, oh, this is worth it for 3 and we've had it ever since.
Well, I'm kind of surprised that, honestly, when we were going through this was a game that I was like, who knows, man, this could be $90.
I totally thought that at one point this was going up, but now it's kind of plateaued, which it's not bad. $34 for a Wii game for 3 shmups, that's not bad at all.
No,
and I would agree. If you like shmups, I think at least check them out.
Yeah, and there's not a ton of like traditional shooters on the Wii.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a good opportunity. Well, if you've watched the channel for any amount of time, you know I love boxing games, and you know that one of my all-time favorite games is Punch-Out. So I obviously have to have Punch-Out on the Wii. So this is a very awesome Nintendo Wii game, and I've heard people say before, like, it's a remake of the first game.
Dude, yeah.
And
it's not even close.
And it's like, no, you're kind of getting it wrong. So not only are there some different characters, the mechanics are a lot different in this game. There are some repeat characters, for sure. Yep. You're going to, have your Bald Bull, Sandman, stuff like that, Glass Joe. You're obviously Little Mac. But you can play this in a multitude of ways for controls. The best way I like to play it is just holding the Wiimote sideways and playing traditionally. But like you can also play like motion controls. And this game actually, I've only done it one time, and it was way back when this came out. You can use the Wii Fit board with this game. I can't remember how exactly. I think there's like a dodging mechanic. So then,
like, that sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, but game comes in at $35.66. And this is for a Nintendo IP. This is one with all the game hunting and stuff I do. I don't run into this out in the wild
I don't see that often, which is wild.
So I wonder, of the Nintendo games, obviously any Nintendo branded game sold plenty of copies, but I just wonder if it didn't sell super well.
I mean, it is, like, if you look at all the Punch-Outs, it is the worst of the 3.
Yeah.
But it's still a great game, and I just think a lot of people are confused about it, because, like you said, people think it's like a remake of the NES game, and it's not. It's way different. You did, like, an epic stream a couple years ago playing all 3 Punch-Outs, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and this is the one that eluded me, so I've beat the game, and I beat it on that stream. But I was trying to no death all 3 Punch-Outs in one stream, and so I did Mike Tyson, then I did the Super Punch-Out, and then in this, I had it all the way to the last guy, and I got dinged, and then I beat him on my next try.
That sucks.
But when you're trying to do them 3 back to back to back, in my brain, the way to recomplete that loop is I would have to go back and start at the beginning, and I had been streaming for like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, so you're like, I don't want to do that again. Yeah. But Punch-Out, it's a staple if you like boxing games and if you like Little Mac. Absolutely.
Or if you like Big Macs. Order one and then play this game.
Alrighty.
Well, that's great.
Number 6 most expensive Wii game in our collection is Resident Evil: The Darkside Chronicles, a very unique Capcom game in the Resident Evil universe that's a light gun game.
Yeah, it's a rail shooter on rails.
It's freaking sick. I love Resident Evil, and I love like all the survival horror, and I love light gun games. And this is like the best blend of them. I think there's another Resident Evil game, Umbrella Chronicles, that's a light gun game as well, but that one's cheaper.
Yeah, for whatever reason. So what's this? The game's like $36?
Yeah, this game's going for $36, so not bad at all, but the other one is way cheaper.
Like 12.
Yeah, but
I don't know why.
If you like Resident Evil and you like light gun games like on rails, these are both must-play games because it's fun as hell and spooky because it's Resident Evil.
And one thing I do want to say about this game and the Umbrella Chronicles is if you don't have a Wii and you're like, holy shit, there's an on-rail Resident Evil game? Yeah. These games are available digitally in the US, physically elsewhere on the PS3.
Oh, shit.
So if you have a PS3, don't have a Wii, that game intrigues you, maybe that's an option for you. I just wanted to throw that out there. But this game and Umbrella Chronicles are badass.
Yeah, they're both really sick. And I forgot they were on the PS3, so that's good.
Yeah.
Good little piece of
that's a
knowledge.
Up next, a game that I have never played. Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii. So I've played on the Wii U. It's a Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Yep.
And that game is fantastic. And I'm looking forward to playing through the Definitive Edition on the Switch because I really liked it. But I never played this one. And so here's a sealed copy.
This is a sealed copy.
And the only reason it's sealed is we got a collection a fistful of years ago, and this, I believe, was in that.
I believe so, yeah.
If I remember right. So anyway, that's Xenoblade Chronicles. It's sealed, and it's one of the most expensive games in our collection. Sealed value's $37.
It is wild that sealed is only $37. So
Yeah.
I bet if it was just CIB, it'd probably be way less.
Yeah.
Again, I've never played this game either, and I've only ever dabbled with the Xenoblade Chronicles, but you love them.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
They look cool and they look really fun, and like I like the art style, so I'm sure it would be fun to go back to.
Yeah, my concern with this one is
Motion.
Is that aspect of it, but it does say on the back you can play with the classic controller.
Ooh,
so
okay.
We'll have to see at some point in my life.
We'll have to crack the seal. Next up, we're jumping in price. This is when we start to climb, and this is when it's like we're past the $40 rule. Is it worth it?
Yeah.
I don't know. For us, maybe.
And this game we just talked about in another episode
Yes, we
that
did.
had nothing to do with the Wii. But
Yeah, Target Terror, a Konami game, a light gun game for the Nintendo Wii, coming in at $50.03. This is also an arcade game,
Yeah.
which I've never played in the arcade, and I really want to.
Yeah, well,
But-
we have one locally that has this, and it was broke down the one time.
Yeah, it
we
was
went in there,
broken,
yeah.
which sucks. This is, if you ever played like Area 51 or Maximum Force or something like that, where it's like live action guys popping up.
Yep.
That's what this is, but for the Wii. You're killing terrorists.
Yeah, is it Raw Thrills that did this game?
Yeah,
I think?
Raw Thrills,
And then
yeah.
it's published by Konami.
Yeah.
So I've always really enjoyed this game.
This game is it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's so fun.
Yeah, it's one of those, if you're a light gun fan, you might kind of know what I'm saying. So it plays fine. Is it hokey?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Voice acting poor? Yes. But the game's fine. And I think it plays fine on the Wii, but it got rated and reviewed really,
Yeah.
really bad. It was actually, that was the episode we talked
Yeah.
about, then was like some Metacritic scores
yeah.
where they got it wrong. I think this game's cool. I remember the first time we played this, we were like, dude, the art style, it's like Area 51.
Yeah,
we were like,
but
this
it's
is
like
dope.
modern. It is cool too because on top of all that, there's different guns you can pick up. There's like mini bonus levels if you shoot like enough barrels or stuff like that. And it's ridiculous when you get certain guns because it's like, oh wow, I can see that guy's skeleton, or I just froze that guy, or I just blew him up, and it's gory as hell, and it's just have a few light beers or heavy beers, whatever you want, and get a buddy and play Target Terror or play light gun games. It's
You'll have a
true
good time.
joy.
It's like a B-grade horror film.
Yeah.
And, this game, there is one thing I will say, this game is hard as fuck.
Yeah, definitely.
It is tough. Like, to beat it and not have to use, like, continued
They
stuff,
throw,
it's tough.
They throw a lot of terrorists
Yeah.
at you, so watch out.
Have you tried the lasagna? It's my favorite.
Next up is did we talk about this game recently, too, in one of those episodes?
I think we did. Too.
Okay.
Things are going full circle right now.
Or maybe it didn't make the list. I can't remember, but we have talked about this game before. The Calling.
Or Calling.
Yeah.
They pulled a Facebook and dropped the.
That great point. Yeah, you're right. Calling on the Wii, but I swear I've heard people call it The Calling, but it's Calling. And
Who's calling?
When you're holding the Wiimote, you can ask yourself who's calling because the speaker is saying shit to you. This game is pretty cool. Hudson Soft published the game.
Yeah.
And I was sitting here when we were going through it, and I was like, isn't there a second one? So in the comments below, for some reason, my brain says there's a second version of this game.
There might be.
I did a quick look, didn't see it, but we were getting ready to
Who
film.
knows?
So
This game is coming in at $58.17 for it. It's a really cool survival horror game.
kind of in the classic survival horror
very
style.
like tank camera controls.
And I think when you were playing it before we did that other episode, I think you said something like, "Oh, dude, this reminds me of Silent Hill a little bit."
It reminds me a little bit of Silent Hill, and then a little bit Fatal Frame because it's Japanese and stuff like that. But it's really cool because they really utilize the Wiimote in the aspect of that's your cell phone. So like it's very interactive and it's like kind of spooky. So like you're like, oh, someone's calling me. They're calling.
This is a weird one because I had no idea that this game's going for $58.17. And I think even when we were getting ready for the episode, we scan every game.
Yeah,
I don't just sit here and I wonder what my games are worth and look them up all the time. And so I scanned it, was like, yo, I know this was a Salvation Army find,
we got
a
it for
pawn
cheap,
shop find. For sure. And it's just my old freaking copy that I've had for freaking ever. And I've been like, holy shit, dude. So anyway.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Calling on the Wii.
Number 2 most expensive Wii game in our collection. We're gonna jump in price again. This game comes in at $79.63, so almost $80 for this. But this is the Gunblade New York and LA Machineguns Arcade Hits Pack. So, you like light gun games? We do. We like them a lot.
No pun intended. You said we do. I hope you heard that.
We do. This is 2 amazing arcade games in one. For the Nintendo Wii, you get Gunblade New York and LA Machineguns. 2 kind of hard machines to find, but we have played LA Machineguns in the arcade.
We beat it in the arcade.
Yeah,
we beat it on the Wii. Yeah.
Which is sick. It's fun because you have like machine guns, and especially in the arcade, they're massive, and you're like,
and they're mounted.
Yeah, it's so sick. But these are really fun. They play great on the Wii. I mean, the Wii is not true light gun, but they still work and play great.
Yeah,
and it's just fun. 1 to 2 players. Sega light gun at its finest. I don't know if it's $80 worth, but for light gun fans, maybe.
Just in case this is the first episode you've ever seen from us, this is going to be a repeat for a lot of people who've watched our channel. The Wii has so many on-rail light gun shooters that are amazing to check out. And if you want to know more about that, we've done buying guides on that topic. We've talked about it tons and tons and tons and tons. But in our collection, in our top 10 most expensive, and you're seeing these prices, there are people that are missing light gun games, and the Wii provides a decent solution. Yeah. It's not a traditional light gun, but the sensor bar and the Wiimote kind of can replicate that in a way.
You can get really close.
But you've got, here as we're going through this list, 3 light gun related, on-rail shooter related type of games that are cracking into that expensive territory. And I think it's because the Wii does it pretty dang good, and people are like, man, do you remember the freaking games where you just shoot your TV?
Yeah, those are fun.
And they find out that we can do it and they get excited.
What's cool is we're talking about a decent amount of them today, but there's a lot more in our collection that didn't make the cut because they're cheaper that are light gun games. Like House of the Dead 2.
That are better.
House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return. You get House of the Dead 2 and 3 on the Wii. House of the Dead Overkill didn't make the cut. One of our favorite. Ghost Squad. Like, there's so many light gun games on this.
And those are better than these most expensive ones.
There's the other Resident Evil game on Xenoblade Chronicles that's like, you can get into the light gun games for pretty cheap on the Wii. It's a great, easy way to start getting it.
Yeah, I wouldn't look at this episode or this list and be like, oh shit, the Wii's expensive. Well, I can't collect that now. That is not true. You should be able to, in your area, get a Wii in great condition for $30 to $40. And there are so many good low-hanging fruit games. Again, games. We'll circle back through this whole thing and do our cheapest games in our collections just to prove that point. But anyway.
But to counter that point, let's talk about the most expensive game on the Nintendo Wii with number 1.
Well, seems like most consoles that have a Silent Hill game on them, that tends to be one of your more expensive games in your collection. And the Wii is no different. Silent Hill Shattered Memories.
Oh, coming in at $94.75, so almost triple digit for this. This game is available on other consoles.
It is.
But
it's on PS2. Is it on something else? Is it on the PSP?
It might be. I swear that it's on the PS2, but I think this is the best version of the game because of the motion. Because
that's not normal for us.
I know it's not normal because like the motion's kind of gimmicky and I don't like it. You know, I mean, Lycans is fun, but in this game, what makes it a cool survival horror game is you have a flashlight and you're walking around. You know, the Wiimote's your flashlight. Yeah. That makes it so scary.
Yep, it's really
because you're like, oh, what am I looking at? You know, like that's what makes it so much. And I think that's why it's climbing in value. This game is great. I love the Silent Hill games, and Shattered Memories I love it
for sure. And if I remember right, the like comparisons that I've seen before of this game versus the PS2 one, this game, even like on a visual and textural point, looks very much better on the Wii. So pretty wild. I was thinking as we were going through this, like, I don't know how much we'll really have to talk about. The Wii's a pretty affordable console. I don't think we're going to have any rippers, but as we went through, I did not know this was approaching $100.
Yeah, that's insane.
I thought this game was like 50. I remember grabbing this game one year when we were looking for stuff to play around Halloween, and I feel like I paid up for it. It was like 45 or 50 bucks or something.
It's survival horror and Silent Hill,
so I'm glad I got it when I did, and that's even... I can't even believe I paid that because I'm a cheapskate. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
He's eating that cheap steak.
Yeah.
But that was our most expensive top 10 Nintendo Wii games. Before we go, we got to talk about this beer by Three Floyds. This is a very unique beer. I'm going to finish off pouring the bottle before I talk about it. This is called the Pillar of Beasts. This is a barley wine ale brewed with coconut and salted caramel, aged in oak barrels. Comes in at 14.6%.
You don't want to have too many of these boys and ghouls.
This beer is really unique. I was really nervous because I am not a big fan of barley wines.
Me neither.
I just don't like...
I'm with you.
Something about it I just don't like.
Some people love them.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Different tastes for different Blakes. I don't know what the saying is.
All right.
This actually, I actually am liking this.
Yeah,
it's not like the best thing I've ever had, but I'm liking it.
Yeah, the barrel age component helps it for sure. And I don't even, that flavor profile as you read it there, it doesn't really explain what I'm feeling.
Like I don't.
There's an aspect to this beer that kind of reminds me of a Belgian beer. A little bit like a quad or
I get a little bit of that. I get a little bit,
triple.
I get a little bit of a triple or a quad.
And I don't even know why, because as you read that, I'm like, I don't know where that's coming from, because barley wines don't typically make me think of that style of beers.
Coconut and salted caramel. I don't think I get any coconut.
Yeah.
I get like a little bit of caramel, because there's a little bit of smoothness to this.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's like it very feels like a Belgian beer.
Yeah.
And so I'm really digging this. It's definitely a slow drinker.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm drinking it slow, and it's high octane, so be careful.
Yeah.
But Three Floyds, man, I really dig their IPAs. I really dig a lot of their stuff. They've been popping up a lot in our area, so
yeah,
they're slowly becoming one of my favorites.
Well, oh yeah, it's only been like a year or 2 years where they started popping up in our area. This was always a brewery when we got out. They're from like Chicago or Indiana.
Yeah, they're like over there.
So when we would go out east, we would always like, oh, we got to bring some Three Floyds home. But when they first came into our territoire, we could only get the basics, like the zombie dust, and there was like the blue can.
Yeah. Zombie dust is one of the great ones.
But now we're starting to get a lot more of their stuff. A lot of their
it's
pretty awesome.
And what's cool is I work at a barcade, so we've been starting to get zombie dust on tap.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is sick. We have like a super high octane IPA from them, like Turbo Reacher or something like that.
Okay.
And that beer is really good. So it's like it's fun to see like a brewery like that slowly expands, which means they're doing well.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I don't think of their IPAs, and I can't remember all the names, but I don't think I've had a bad beer from these
No,
guys.
I don't think either. And I was nervous for this because I was like, this is not going to be in my style, but still good.
Even their sampler pack, which was the first thing we got in our area, which has like their 3 staples, right?
That was great.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that was.
So even their like
we
just
devoured
staple
that.
like house beers are fantastic. But you know what else is fantastic? The console that people said, I don't really think this console's for me. It's got motion controls. The Wii sold a shit ton.
Yep.
Yes, the console has a ton of shovelware.
Oh,
for sure. But most consoles that sell really well have a ton of shovelware.
Yeah, the
if you really dig into
PS2 has a lot of shovelware.
And I think we're starting to see a lot of kids from this generation want to get their Wii collections back. And I think some of these more expensive games are going to just keep going up. I'm glad we got ours when we did. But
again, don't let this scare you, because the Wii, you can get really cool games for really cheap, and you can still find Wii games out in the wild.
Yeah, and you're going to have to stay tuned, because what we have left in this series, I believe, is the 32X, Sega CD, Sega Saturn, and the Xbox One. And what I'll tell you about that Xbox One episode, and I don't know what order we're going to film these in, but if you're looking for a cheap, affordable console to collect for right now, you'll want to tune into that one.
That's the one.
That is the one.
We were making our list, and we were like, this isn't expensive at all.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy. But anyways, as always, we appreciate you tuning in, subscribing to the channel. We'll catch you on the next episode of the one and only Gaming Off the Grid.